Okay, good afternoon, Alex. I can call you Alex, right?
Please, yes, call me Alex. Happy to be here.
Okay, so Alex I discovered him, I guess, on LinkedIn through his friend, and he referred me, and I'm glad you're here. So thank you for accepting the invitation.
Of course. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
So Alex is a multiple idea person, but today we're going to talk mainly about portfolio pilot. So who had this idea? You or another friend or together?
Yeah, originally three and a
of
half
you?
years ago.
Yeah.
3.5 years ago, I think I sold my previous company, and me and my wife, we started a family, and we bought a house here in the Bay Area, and I had lots of different ideas and started prototyping many different things, and I started talking to more financial advisors and wealth managers, and
Because you had a lot of money?
I don't know about a lot of money,
But you had money to invest.
I mean, suddenly we went from zero to having something
Because
at least,
you sold your
because
company.
we sold my previous company.
Got it.
And I don't know. Talking to financial advisors, it felt like it was a lot of salespeople. It was a lot of people who were trying to sell me on a specific portfolio idea and using a lot of technical words and investing ideas and trying to convince me that I couldn't quite do it myself. And so, I started building something myself, and I didn't really want to become a trader, and, day trading didn't feel like, a lot of fun for me. But the idea that I could have some software system give me advice, tell me here's some tax opportunities, or you're on track long term for retirement.
Did you
find that
software?
Something interesting. I didn't quite find something. There's robo-advisor platforms, and there's lots of trading tools, and eventually I just built something for myself.
Oh.
And that something for myself, over the last 3 years turned into portfoliopilot.com. And
So pilot because it's a trial.
Pilot because it's helping you navigate, it's flying the ship, it's my previous company was all about autonomous vehicles.
I see.
And there's a certain level of guidance to Portfolio Pilot. The main idea is that your portfolio, your net worth, we're going to attach this pilot to it to help you navigate, and at the end of the day,
pilot,
allow
like a
you to do
pilot.
it yourself.
Like a
pilot in a ship or an airplane. Exactly.
Okay. And did you test if the pilot is good? He didn't crash too many times?
We've spent 3.5 years now
Testing it?
testing it, putting it live. At first it was just me and my own portfolio, my own net worth, and build software and tried to plug into different accounts and brokerages and real estate and stock options, and eventually it became more and more robust, and I found a co-founder, and now we're a 10-person team, and we have about $30 billion of assets on the platform, 30,000 users that are using it. And so it's become a lot more than an idea. We've raised a couple $1 million for this idea, and now it's a real company. We spent a long time actually going through with the SEC and becoming a registered investment advisor so that we can give fiduciary financial advice to people automatically through this platform. In many ways, it's a full replacement for human financial advisors.
Okay. But you not registered as a Series 7, are you?
We're registered. So me personally, my co-founder, we went and wrote a Series 65 exam, which is what all investment advisor representatives. So Series 7 is for brokers. Series 65 is the equivalent exam for registered investment advisor, investment advisor representatives. I work for an RIA, a registered investment advisor.
And that's how you became good
And so
at
this allows us to, as part of a 400-page compliance manual that we have, it allows us to be able to give real fiduciary financial advice completely automatically through the platform. And so, it's a mixture of sort of hedge fund inspired models together with AI to give you personalized investment advice.
That's awesome, because usually when people look for a broker, they ask the broker how many years experience do you have, right? And they're also looking for someone to talk to weekly or monthly. Does that take away the friendship that the client has with the broker?
Yeah, I think, with a lot of the AI stuff in the world these days, there's a certain relationship that's lost, right? And this is one of the things we've thought about a lot. We've talked to a lot of people. And I think,
they can call you though? They can?
They can call. We have onboarding calls with people.
Oh,
there's
you do.
significant support.
Yeah.
There's a phone number to call.
So there's a human at the other end of the phone.
There is. We are constantly talking to users, hundreds, thousands of users. But the biggest thing is that the advice itself comes automatically through the platform itself, through the software.
So when they call for another reason?
People call for technical support or onboarding help or connecting accounts or anything like that. And so the idea is to be very engaged. But what we found is that most people don't actually want to talk to a human.
Really?
Most people really like the idea. It takes time to get a human on a phone call. They have to do it on their schedule. You have to come prepared to a meeting like this. A lot of the time you have to go into the office. And so the idea that you can do it on your computer, on your phone, in real time, get advice, is a huge improvement, we think. I think the other big thing with the human financial advisors is that there's a lot of conflicts of interest, a lot of human bias into the conversation.
Oh, okay.
And so, no matter where it comes from, as much as possible, we've tried to eliminate the conflicts of interest, eliminate the human bias. And so the idea that you could proactively get financial advice in your inbox, every single month, and it's, takes 10 minutes.
Every month
do
you
this
send
thing.
the advice to the people inbox.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, and the idea is, I think it's very different than trading, right? Like I wanted to do myself. I didn't want to be a day trader. I don't want to call up a broker or anything like this.
Who decide on the email that you sent?
It happens completely automatically from the system.
Oh, okay.
And so Portfolio Pilot itself has a big engine behind it. Basically this global predictions engine. We're making forecasts and we're monitoring 70,000 different securities, mutual funds, crypto, individual stocks, ETF.
Is it Bloomberg?
Bloomberg is, a whole bunch of data feeds. And so we plugged into 14 different data feeds of information.
Okay.
This is news and macro information. We're looking at, CPI numbers for the US, but also, French building permits that are issued, or South Korean GDP, or we're looking at
international.
It's international. The whole world is interconnected, right? The whole economy. Yeah. And so if we're giving advice to someone about their house or mortgage or estate planning or long-term retirement, or even which stocks they should own or sell, I think you want that decision to be tied to everything that's happening in the economy. And it's very difficult for one single human to do that.
Nowadays, people go for advice on Ameritrade or one of those brokerage firms. And
I think there's lots of different modern brokerage firms.
They give you
Fidelity and Schwab and
so
Ameritrade and Robinhood. The thing is, inside the brokerage firm, they're not allowed to give advice.
Oh, they just let people go.
There's a conflict of interest.
Ah.
Right?
Oh,
it would be quite bad if, Robinhood inside their trading platform said, hey, you should buy more of this.
Oh.
Right? There's this conflict of interest built in. And so, Schwab has advisors and a brokerage firm, but the two businesses are really supposed to be separate businesses. And they have human advisors that you can talk to, but the whole business that they're in is give them your money and they manage it for you and they give advice, or you do it yourself and there's no advice inside the brokerage firm as well. And so for us, we're basically a third party. And so you can have your Schwab account and connect it to Portfolio Pilot. And then Portfolio Pilot can give you advice for you to make better decisions within your Schwab account.
So they'll pay the fee on both accounts? No.
The brokerage fee is basically zero at this point.
Oh, really?
Right? There's almost no fee trading for most brokerage accounts at this point.
Like Robinhood, okay.
Like Robinhood, yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact that Robinhood came with no fee trading meant that most other brokerages had to you know, make it work with no fee trading.
Like Webull, yeah.
Like Webull, yeah, like.
So they make their money on the back end when the stock is trading.
Exactly. Yeah, there's this payment for order flow, and you know, the idea of front-running trades or selling into hedge funds and high-frequency traders. And
so
for us, we have just a $29 a month, you know,
fee.
Membership per month.
It's a membership, okay.
And so the idea is, you know, we want to align as much as possible the incentives. There's a free version of the product, which is just analysis, and you know, basically you can connect all of your accounts for free. Use it as a tracker. You know, a lot of people have a 401k and a 529
They can put them all
and
together.
an IRA and a house and stock options and a cash and credit card and brokerages.
They
and
can
they can put it all together, link it all to the account,
Wow.
all for free. You know,
Yeah.
at the base level, it's simply just a portfolio tracker. You know, to see all your net worth in one place, and then we give you a free assessment. You know, we tell you this is working and here's some opportunities for improvement.
That's awesome.
And then if you want the actual financial advice to fix some of these things, you know, to take the opportunities and turn them into something better,
Yeah.
then you can pay $29 a month, or you know, $20 a month if it's an annual plan. And so we like to think that it's very affordable, and the fact that it's completely automated means that we, you know, don't have to pay for the, you know, the human advice, and you know, the humans end up being very expensive.
So this is touching on artificial intelligence, you said?
Yeah,
And
it's sort of a mix, right? I don't know if I would quite trust, you know, ChatGPT with, you know, all my money.
Okay.
You know, that's changing maybe in a couple of years.
Okay.
But basically what we've done is we've used these sort of more hedge fund inspired models. There's a whole bunch of portfolio management tools. I'm thinking about modern portfolio theory and, you know, regression models. And there's, you know, a bunch of different ways that you can look at downside protection and measuring Sharpe ratios. And, you know, there's all kinds of sort of fairly technical portfolio management tools that exist that, you know, wealth managers use or people on Wall Street use. And so we've brought those in, and we evaluate your portfolio and your situation and real estate with those tools. And then we use AI as well to be able to help translate some of that and make it simple to interact with. And, you know, you can ask questions and follow up as well. Sometimes as well, it's about importing
Who answers
accounts.
the question? Who answers the question?
The AI is answering the question completely
Oh, the AI
automatically.
does. Oh,
right.
the AI does.
So most of it is proactive, right? And so, you know, most of it is this monthly email that we send. Here's 3 things you should do in 10 minutes to improve your financial situation.
Really?
And it, you know, there's
it's
lots of
based on
different
what?
kinds of advice.
It's based on the advice of who?
The advice of the system itself.
Oh, the system.
And so the system automatically is analyzing your portfolio, and it's trying to come up with, you know, ways that you can take advantage of taxes.
But a human programmed the system.
At the end of the day, human programmed the system.
Yeah.
But even that is changing. I mean, the programmers on our team are using AI quite a bit to, you know, speed up their programming development at this point.
Really?
You know, they think we talked about it 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're 80% more efficient right now than they were a year ago using AI tools.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing.
But
the speed
there's a
is
difference
faster and
between
faster.
AI, which is artificial intelligence, and II, which is insider information. It's illegal to have insider information, so you cannot give insider information.
No, absolutely not. I mean, especially being a registered investment advisor, you know, we have a massive compliance program, everything about cybersecurity to access controls to, you know, reviewing conflicts of interest to lots and lots of things that we can or cannot say according to the SEC marketing rule. Every trade that gets made from me, if I make a trade in my own account, it needs to get logged with the company. As part of our compliance program, we have regular reviews and attestations.
So you abide by the SEC rules.
Oh, this is 20% of what we do as a company is just, compliance. It feels like a, significant burden on top of everything else. But, at the end of the day, it allows us to give and charge for real financial advice, and, it creates a significant amount of trust. And these controls in particular, especially for, a system that's fully automated, I think is net positive.
No, because I heard some members of Congress sometimes get insider information and they get rich.
Right.
But it's illegal, but they do it anyway. But
it's wild.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild that, this is allowed, and, definitely. I heard recently there's some proposal to, restrict some of this trading. I think at the end of the day, there's lots of different ways that you can get rich, I think.
Okay.
Right? Something like this, fraud or Ponzi schemes or insider trading. There's absolutely people in the world that do that, right? And, we don't want any part of that.
Okay.
I think there are lots of hedge funds that are looking for very specific alpha and trading strategies, or
our hedge fund allowed to,
if they move a foot closer to the exchange, maybe they can trade faster than everybody else. But I think
but you accept hedge funds to register with you.
We have some bigger family offices. I think the biggest users of the platform have $50-60 million on the platform, something like this.
And they do work with hedge funds.
They work with hedge funds as well, family offices, private equity. But I think the main use case for us is the individuals.
Small guy, yeah.
Right? Our the average net worth of someone on the platform, I think, is about $400,000.
Okay.
And so, $400,000, including your house,
Mm-hmm.
Including any cash in an emergency fund.
Oh, that's a net worth.
Including your 401k, including your spouse's 401k, including your brokerage account. And so, typically we're talking about people that are
middle class,
35 to 55 years old.
Yeah.
They're doing it themselves. A lot of people have a spreadsheet, that they're managing everything on, and so they use Portfolio Pilot to ditch the spreadsheet. To use this, put it all in one place. At least I have some interesting information.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have a financial advisor and they come to us just for a second opinion.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
If you're getting just to make sure is everything happening? Can I have a more informed conversation with my financial advisor?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea to have a second opinion. So it's like when my doctor might give me something and I go check on YouTube, see if it's good, or on Google. Yeah.
I think more and more people are doing this. Even just checking with a second doctor, right? If it's serious, I think it's very commonly accepted. Hey, let me get a second opinion from someone else, another doctor. But I think with financial advice, it's quite rare to do that.
Okay.
A lot of people trust, their guy,
Mm-hmm.
at Schwab or at
because
Edward Jones,
they're
or
they
form a relationship, or I don't know why. I think a lot of people don't like to engage with it, or they don't know the right questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even if I have the entire internet at my disposal and Google and ChatGPT, I don't know the right question to ask.
Okay.
I should be asking questions about. People should be asking questions about. How much am I paying in fees? Or is this mutual fund really the best possible fund for me to get exposure to this thing? Or should I be doing tax loss harvesting on a yearly basis or monthly basis? Or, there's questions about estate planning or life insurance. But if you don't know the right question to ask, then it's very difficult to engage in a healthy conversation.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what we're doing is proactively saying, hey, you're paying too much in this 401k. You should think about rolling it over to an IRA.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some articles about how you might do that. You could save, X $1,000s a year by making this move. Or here's a mutual fund in your account that you're paying
way too much fees.
$4,200 a year in this mutual fund. and it tracks the S&P 500, and here's a ETF that would cost you $30 a year in fees instead. You should move your money into that. And so there's lots of these little optimizations that actually end up making a huge difference. And we think the system should pay for itself. Right? That's a core philosophy for us, is that the amount that we're charging for this membership fee should pay for itself, even after using it for a couple months.
Yeah, even if you don't follow the advice, because they might take your advice, read your advice, and then keep the broker they have a relationship with and they're friends with. They call them.
If it helps them be a little bit more informed,
Yeah.
if it helps them ask more critical questions,
Mm-hmm.
if it helps you personally feel more confident that you are on top of things,
Yeah.
or
It's
if
a good membership.
it's worth it, I think,
It's
right? Because a lot of investing is
But
you know-
you update whatever you send out weekly?
every single day it updates.
Oh, okay.
Every 24 hours we run. There's sort of a big 6-7 hour run every single night to update with the latest
Okay,
market
okay,
values and forecasts, and it updates the advice, and it syncs with your brokerage account or your 401k.
And then give you advice at that point?
Every time you log in, you can refresh it and it will generate new advice for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or once a month, we send it to you in an email.
Okay. In
And
other
so
words,
you can check in every single day if you want to. We don't want to send notifications every single day. Some apps I have, send you notifications every single day, and they say, "Come on, look at me,
It's too much.
engage."
it's too much.
But
But-
kind of like a human financial advisor, I think it should be
But
more
they
in the
don't
background.
trade on portfolio pilot. They trade in their brokerage account.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
got
at the
it.
end of the day, we like to think that we do, 95% of the work, give you a menu of different options,
And
and
then
say,
you decide.
we think you should do this for these reasons. Here's a bunch of opportunities for you to improve your financial health.
Mm-hmm.
You decide.
Nice.
And people say, yes, no, no, ignore this. And every time you ignore something in the platform, it learns a little bit more about you. And so next month, the advice should get a little bit smarter
Oh, yeah.
and should get a little bit better. Kind of like Netflix or my Facebook feed. Every time I engage with stuff,
They
or
know
I
what
like
you
it
like.
or I dislike it,
Yeah.
there's this recommender system that keeps getting more and more
So
informed.
you have mostly programmers on your team?
We are 10 people. So our head of investing was in the hedge funds,
Okay.
and worked at Bridgewater, and has builds trading
And
algorithms.
He knows how
He
to.
understands a lot of
to
the
look-
portfolio
to look at the
management
different-
worlds, and what do you look at macroeconomics. We have 3 software developers on the team,
Mhm.
and so they are building the databases and the product itself and the models behind the scenes. And then we have one person who's just working on product and just thinking about, he's interviewing users and trying to figure out, what should we put on what page, and what does the copy look like, and how do we send people at the right time, and, trying to look at our analytics to see, is it working? We have,
So this works in any country, Canada or America, or?
right now, we work mostly in the US,
Mm-hmm.
and then also in Canada, we have a lot of users.
Okay.
But currently, we're not charging for the product in Canada.
Okay.
And so we're registered with the SEC as a registered investment advisor only in the U.S. right now with the.
Oh, okay. So, but they can still look at your advice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in Canada, you can attach accounts, and you can get the assessments and all of this, and
They
build
just pay
draft
the
portfolios.
membership. They just pay the membership.
Right, exactly.
And they can do the trade on their own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
But the big focus for us is the U.S. I mean, we
They're the
think
mo-
that there
we're the
are
most-
tens of millions of people in the U.S. that need something like this, that
and
would
California
benefit
has
from
the
it.
most millionaires in the country.
Yeah, the thing is, on a daily basis, probably I talk to 3 or 4 users, feedback calls and onboarding, and I try to get as involved as possible with these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
This morning I talked to someone from Kansas.
Oh.
He runs a wedding photography business,
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a software developer in Seattle. I talked to a marketing person in Houston this morning. And I talked to someone who's retired in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And so it's, across the country.
People who want to use your service.
It's regular people. And, I think if you are rich enough to really hire a private banker, then you probably don't need Portfolio Pilot.
Okay.
But I think for regular people, the idea of just getting a second opinion and getting a little bit more advice makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you do the background work for them, like you check on Bloomberg and all the other platforms.
Exactly.
And then if you see if there's a consensus, then you send the email.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there's so many people 2 years ago who tried to contact me to say, oh, we give you advice on what stock to buy daily. And I'm not at that level. And plus, daily, I don't want it.
I never liked that either.
Because I don't like to buy and sell daily.
I think there's a lot of people that say, like, this stock is really hot right now.
Yeah,
you
exactly. And they give a webinar and they say, we can give you the next winning.
Here's a real estate opportunity in Utah that is absolutely amazing. We have 24 hours left and you have to buy.
Yeah, and they pressure you, yeah.
I want the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
I want things to be personalized to me. I want mostly to invest in ETFs and index funds.
Oh.
I want to... I want to think about the tax situation and can I optimize something there? I want to pay less fees.
Yeah, no pressure.
I want to make sure that, any advice I get is no pressure. You do it on your own time.
Okay.
That's a big part of, what we've tried to build with Portfolio Pilot. Okay. Conflict-free. A lot of these brokers that you're talking about, they get paid based on clicks or they get paid on every sale they make.
Right.
Kind of like a car salesman. They get paid on commission.
Yeah.
This feels...
more relaxed. Less stress.
It feels wrong. It feels like, there's a significant amount of sort of middlemen that are trying to, make money off of commission. There's a whole life insurance industry. Right, that I think operates very similar like this. You refer
people to life insurance agents? No.
So there is an estate planning part in Portfolio Pilot,
okay.
Right, because it's really trying to look at your entire financial health. And so based on your age, based on whether you're married, based on your net worth, based on whether you have dependents or not, we will tell you whether you should get life insurance or not. And then we tell you, read this article. And here's all the reasons you should not get life insurance. Here's all the dangers you need to watch out for when you're getting life insurance. Here's some comparison tools for life insurance. You get it on your own.
They get it on their own.
Keep in mind all of these problems and conflicts that you might see. And, one of the articles very clearly says, if you talk to some human life insurance agent, at a minimum, get a second opinion, get a second quote. Don't listen to someone that's working on commission. And so maybe it's extreme. Maybe it feels like, oh, we've been burned before and, really don't trust the system. But, in this financial world and investing world, there's so many people with conflicting interests that I like to think if we can come in with a solution that has no human bias in it, that is truly aligned, that would be the holy grail. That's what people would actually, count on.
Like if you go on ChatGPT and you type, which stock should I buy today, will there be an answer?
I'm not sure. I haven't done this recently.
Tried that? No?
But definitely one of the things that OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, one of the things they make very clear is that they do not give financial advice.
Okay, then I cannot ask that question in the first place.
And actually, if they give financial advice, then it's a big problem with the SEC.
So they don't.
Because they're charging for the product, and if you charge for financial advice, then you have to become a registered investment advisor. There's only certain things in marketing. You have to have a whole compliance program and all the things we do.
So they stay away from it.
It's much easier for ChatGPT just to say, hey, you should talk to a registered
Financial.
investment advisor to get this answer.
Oh, they do say that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very likely, I don't know the exact answer to this.
Same on your end. If someone asks you which doctor should I go, you would tell them go to see.
Exactly. Get some real medical advice. You know, we are only get licensed to, we're only registered to give financial advice.
Financial information, not medical information.
Exactly.
Okay, so everybody has their own specialty.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting sort of open question, right? Like, will we have one AI that we go to, like we go to Google
everything.
that can answer everything?
Yeah,
Or are we going to have specialized systems? And I don't know. I mean, this is a brave new world, and just in the last couple of years, we've really seen proliferation of these kinds of AI systems.
There was.
I think likely in regulated industries, like medical or finance, you will have specialized agents like this, specialized AIs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, at the end of the day, I think it's not important enough. It's not big enough for ChatGPT. They can do 90% of everything, and then leave the 10% of regulated stuff to companies like ours.
Yeah. And did you follow there was a conference in Paris for the AI where all the countries met. Did you follow that conference?
A little bit, yeah. Talking about safety in particular in AI.
Yeah, like the VP was there, Vance, and French President Macron hosted it.
Right.
But was it mostly about safety?
I think mostly about safety. I mean, at least what I heard from it, there was a lot of conversations about safety and how do we cooperate across countries and
to make it safe.
I mean, it's a little bit like nuclear weapons.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
In the sense that it feels like a race.
Mm.
If we have the US or Europe or Russia or China all competing to build as fast as possible the best AI models. I mean, one of the ways to get there is to have no safety constraints at all.
Oh, okay.
Right? If OpenAI doesn't need to spend a year testing their model, then they can move faster. And so, there's an incentive for China to do less testing so they can move faster. So they can get to super intelligence faster than anybody else. But, if China's doing it, then we should do it too. And so you need some sort of international cooperation to agree that we're all going to test our models and, make sure that the models don't do anything crazy or that, because, there's lots of different things that the models might do. I don't know how scared people are these days of a Terminator type outcome, but there's, if the models can build nuclear weapons, then maybe someone, in a garage somewhere can use the model to build a nuclear weapon. If you can use the models to build bioweapons, that's really problematic. If the models can be used for cyber attacks.
You don't want that.
Yeah, so the more powerful the models get, the more you somehow need to protect the outputs and you need to stop it from saying certain things. And
you cannot use it for nuclear.
Collectively, as society, I think we should want the models to be safe.
Yeah, for everybody, whether it's for the president or for the little guy.
Exactly, yeah. But so I think conferences like this talk a lot about international cooperation, about safety. How do we stop these runaway scenarios?
That could hurt us.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
But if, it's almost like we're in a race together, but we need to put these constraints on ourselves in the race so that it's fair for everybody.
It's just like when a country threatens the other one to use nuclear. They know they won't. They know.
Right.
They're just trying to scare the other party.
Exactly. And then you have lots, over the last 30, 40, 50 years, you've had a lot of nuclear proliferation trees to say, okay, I'm going to stop building, but only if you stop building too.
Exactly.
Right? Both of us are going to start destroying nukes so that, we can get to a reasonable level, reduce our stockpiles.
Yeah.
Because we're in this race, no one is the winner.
Yeah, they say nuclear war, there's no winner.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It's the same thing. So your background is into tech AI, is that it?
I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I went to school for engineering, physics, and economics. And so a little bit of everything, but a lot of it was models, like a lot of modeling, as you can imagine, software modeling of physics systems or economic systems, engineering systems.
And then
at a certain point, it looks the same.
AI?
I mean, this is like very early on, I worked at NASA. And so in Palo Alto, or sorry, not in Palo Alto, in Pasadena in LA, at the Jet Propulsion Lab. And there basically took a lot of the modeling systems and software and applied it to, we didn't really call it AI, but very early computer vision and machine learning models.
I see.
And so the big problem that we were working on at the Jet Propulsion Lab was how do we, with the rovers that we send to Mars, how do we send a little drone to the Martian surface to fly alongside the rover and basically scout out what's happening and provide some aerial shots?
That's what you worked on?
Yeah, and so the biggest problem with the drone on Mars is, there's a couple problems, right? Weather is a big problem. The atmosphere is a lot thinner, and so how do you spin fast enough? But the biggest thing is that you don't have GPS.
Of course, too far away.
Of course, right? It's GPS satellites around the Earth, but not around Mars.
Right.
And so how do you make sure that the drone knows where it is?
And to come back.
It needs to be able to come back. It needs to reference itself. It needs to stay stable. And so we used computer vision algorithms to basically look at the ground and say, okay, I'm looking at the ground under me. I see a patch of ground. We basically create a map in real time of the Martian surface so that the drone can say, okay, I'm here above the Martian surface. This is how I can get back to the rover. This is where I can land. This is where I am in relative to everything else.
How can you test that?
We flew a lot in the desert outside of LA, and we put a drone in the air and flew around, and we had a camera, and you need to make it very robust.
Yeah.
And so,
and then the drone came back.
The drone came back. It navigated. At a certain point, we had it fly through a little forest too, and trying to avoid things in the forest, and we built this collision avoidance system. And so
all countries do that. Or just America?
I think probably America is the leader in that. And this lab that I worked in, there was some incredible people that worked in this lab and really cutting edge computer vision. And, this was before people really talked about AI and deep learning and, computer vision and machine learning. The thing is, you have so much pixels and video information coming in. You need to process so much information in real time that you cannot do it one pixel at a time. You really need to think about, how do we see the picture and how do we think about this physical world and can we reconstruct images?
And what do you think about OpenAI, the founder Altman or something like that?
Sam Altman.
Sam Altman.
Yeah, my previous company. So basically, after I worked at NASA, I worked at some startups in Silicon Valley, in Palo Alto, and Menlo Park.
And you had new ideas and everything?
Lots of new ideas from that. Very interesting to see companies at the earliest stages, especially because of a lot of early stage companies, they work on something for 6 months, and then they hit a dead end, but you realize that there's something very similar to this, big opportunity right next to it, and you can pivot and start something new.
Yeah, that's what you did from one to the other?
And then I started my own company in 2015.
Okay.
And, in 2015, I moved back to Canada. I'd lived in Canada for a long time before in Vancouver, and ran this company for a year, and, found a co-founder, and we built some prototypes. And then we got invited back to San Francisco as part of Y Combinator, this accelerator program.
So you came back in 2016?
In 2016, we came back. And in 2016, basically I've been here, in the US, in the Bay Area since 2016, which feels like a long, long time now. But actually, as part of Y Combinator, the president at the time was Sam Altman.
Okay.
And so, we spoke to him a fair amount, as part of this program, and he was, there's hundreds of startups and people trying to figure it out.
Why is it valued so high? Like, Elon wants to buy it for $91 billion. Why is it valued so high?
It's crazy, right?
Wow.
I mean, some of the numbers involved here
Only
are
7 billion, but
absolutely crazy.
how do they come up with that valuation? It's hard to evaluate something that's just a software, right?
I think it's really difficult. Yeah, I mean, if you were talking about a building, it's relatively easy to look at comparative buildings and think about, okay, this is the number of office spaces in this building, and I get this much rent for it, and I can borrow money at this mortgage rate.
How can you value a software company?
I think it's pretty similar. I mean, if you think about OpenAI, you can look at other companies.
Oh.
Right? In some ways, just if you were buying a building in downtown San Francisco, you probably look at the office building next to it, and you say, last year this one sold for $30 million.
In the area.
And so probably I should pay somewhere around $30 million. It's a similar height and same space, and it needs a little bit more renovation.
But they cannot look at the software. How can they value it?
There's a lot of people using the software, right? You can look at the revenues of the business.
Oh.
And so, how many people use ChatGPT? Do you use ChatGPT?
Occasionally.
I mean, how many app installs are there? How many people are paying a membership? I pay a membership to ChatGPT, right? I don't know, $20 a month, $25 a month, something like this.
Yeah.
Everyone on our team, buys it. I think they have, I don't know exactly.
They also have memberships.
As far as I understand, they have tens of millions of memberships, and so probably they're doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue.
And that's what their value is.
And then there's a whole API business as well.
But OpenAI doesn't have a membership. It's a non-profit.
Yeah, this is a little bit strange, right?
Isn't
Something with the non-profit and the profit.
No,
but as far as I understand,
why would you buy
there's a non-profit
for $97 billion? That seems wrong.
I think the non-profit controls the profit, though.
Oh, okay.
And so I think at the end of the day, the non-profit is valuable, even if it's just a thin layer on top of the for-profit company. Right? Imagine you and I had a non-profit board.
Yeah.
And, our board together owned a company, and that company owned a $30 million building in San Francisco.
So it's down.
Someone could buy our non-profit for $30 million.
Oh, got it.
Right? Just because we control and we own, the nonprofit controls the for-profit. I think, as far as I understand, though, they're trying to transition everything to be a for-profit company.
Okay.
And so for them to transition this to be a for-profit company, they need to value the company in some way.
Yeah.
So right? Somehow Sam Altman and his friends need to buy the company, need to basically buy the company from themselves. And then, right? And that needs to be a proper valuation for that.
But he turned it down. He said, no, I don't want to sell it.
Well, I don't know if they want to sell it. I think they want to sell it to themselves.
Right. So
basically they want to sell to create a new company and then sell the nonprofit to the new company, which is a for-profit company, so they can get more investments. And who knows exactly?
But they turned down the offer of Elon Musk.
I assume that they believe the company is more valuable than $97 billion.
That's probably why.
Right? But in this transition process now, if they were to sell it to themselves, they will need to value it more than $97 billion.
And then sell it to themselves.
Yeah, but if they do it at that crazy high valuation, right, if you do it at $150 billion, there's probably some tax implications there. And so
also, where would they find the money to buy it?
As far as I understand, there's lots of sovereign wealth funds and
that you want to play it.
That you want to play. So there's, as far as I understand, there's a bunch of Middle Eastern money. Oh. There's big companies like SoftBank that are getting involved. Big Japanese conglomerate.
So
there's companies like Oracle that are getting involved.
That's right, Oracle.
And so there's NVIDIA, I think, is providing either money or in-kind service, servers and GPUs.
So the big players.
If this is really the future, then, there's significant money that shows up. There's sovereign wealth funds and pension funds, and
everybody wants a piece of it.
Yeah. If it's a race, that and there's only 4 or 5 different players, then there's going to be a lot of money that gets funneled to those players in the hopes that one of them or a few of them become truly the winners.
So at your point, how much after 3 years, what have you valued the company in now or in 10 years?
Ooh, good question. A lot can change in 10 years.
Oh, okay. You might
Right?
sell it, right?
And so it's, 10 years, the valuation right now we've raised,
You
$3
said-
or $4 million
Okay.
for the company.
Yeah, but the value is more than that.
The value is more than that. We've given away, I don't know, X percent of the company. I can't say the exact amounts,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
you know.
But it's going to go up and up.
The idea is that at the early stage, there's a lot of risk.
Oh, okay.
And there's some angel investors and early venture capital investors that say, I like you, Alex, like there's something there. You sold, you built and sold a previous company before. I like the idea, this product that I see is good. You've gotten this regulatory approval or there's registration with the
So
SEC
they tell
so you
you-
can actually operate and make money. Here's the chart of new users joining the product. I can sort of picture it coming.
And then they can make a valuation.
And then they make a valuation and I don't know, kind of like,
But it's you and your founders, so you're not ready to sell yet.
not yet, no. I like to think that it will be worth hundreds of billions of dollars too in 10 years.
Oh,
Will it actually be there? I don't know.
As the word get out, it will be. Okay.
Right now, I read a report recently that said that the human financial advisory market, every single year, there's about $240 billion of revenue
Okay.
for human financial advisors.
Oh, there is.
And so if we're a replacement for human financial advisors, then
Then you value that much.
maybe, eventually we can have 10% of
Of
this
the piece of-
market. 10% would be $24 billion of revenue a year.
Oh,
That's crazy.
That's good.
I would be very happy about that, yes.
Pay the employees and then pay yourself. Mm.
Yeah. I think, at that point, then probably a lot of the fees will come down, right? So most people will be paying less money
Oh.
in fees.
If
Right
they're-
now, people pay 1%, 1.5% to human financial advisors.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like we talked about with Robinhood. If Robinhood moves to no fees, then Charles Schwab can't charge fees anymore, and Fidelity can't charge fees anymore, and Vanguard, and all the other brokerages have to, lower their fees, and so ultimately it's a good thing for consumers, right? If they have to pay less.
Yeah.
And so if we apply some pressure and we have an AI financial advisor, the human financial advisors will have to lower fees as well to compete. And hopefully that's a good thing for consumers. If everybody has a
somebody
second
also-
opinion on their finances, people can make better investment decisions and lose less money in taxes. And, more people are going to make it to retirement with a, healthy retirement budget.
There is something similar in the Silicon Valley, but it's probably not exactly what you do. But a few years ago, I heard of a company doing also something like that. But I'm sure that yours is unique because you approach it from your point of view rather than the other people's point of view.
I like to think it's unique, but we are absolutely not the only finance tool in the world.
Yeah,
Right?
there's many finance tools.
In some ways, there's lots of apps that say, this is a really hot stock to buy, you should
Go
buy
ahead.
it today.
Yeah.
But there's lots of trading apps. There's lots of sort of Bloomberg terminal for the retail investor. I think there's a lot of apps that do budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of apps.
That
There's
do-
these robo-advisors, right, like Betterment and Wealthfront, or even I think Fidelity and Schwab have their own robo-advisors, and you can just give them money and they'll manage it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're fairly unique in that
Yeah.
we're truly giving personalized financial advice that has
To
a
each
fiduciary
person.
responsibility to you.
To each person.
I haven't seen anything else like that. To each person, individualized, yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, so you get inspired to do that when you get tired of dealing with brokerage firms.
Exactly.
Did you finally close your accounts with them, or you just moved it to pilot?
Yeah, we don't manage the money, right? So I have my own
Brokerage
Fidelity brokerage firm, and I have a Wealthfront account, and I have a
and
little
it-
bit of
and
crypto in a Coinbase, right? And I connect those to Portfolio Pilot,
And you put
and then
everything
Portfolio
down.
Pilot is scanning it all together and taking my preferences and connecting it to the economy, and then saying, for February, this is what you should do. Here's some
This is-
things
thi-
that you should make. I
this
mean, one of
is-
the things that comes up for people is you have some cash in your account,
Okay.
right? Why are you just holding on to cash?
Invest it.
At a minimum, you could invest it. At a minimum, you should put it into a money market fund.
Mm.
You should buy some short-term treasuries. A money market fund is like as close to risk-free as you can get. It's basically just U.S. Short-term bonds that are very liquid, and it's very easy to buy a money market fund. And right now, I think you can earn something like 4 or 5%
Mm-hmm.
in a money market fund,
It's
and
like
so
a-
that's
it's
much
like
better
a-
than cash.
Yes.
Right, the cash will just devalue with inflation.
So it's like a CD for 5%. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, it's something like that feels like a much better thing to do than holding cash.
I
And
don't
so
know why some
the advice
people-
could be very simple like that.
Yeah, you should not hold more than 10% of your money in cash. I mean, depending on how much money you have, but you should not hold too much money that you're not using daily in the cash account.
I mean, a lot of people say, time in the market is better than timing the market.
Oh, okay.
And so I think a lot of people hold cash because they think, next time there's going to be a crash,
Oh.
then I'm going to invest it all.
Oh,
But it's very difficult for people to tell whether there is a crash or not, whether the market is down now. It's 5% down now. Should I wait for it to go 10% down? What if it recovers again? People play all these games with themselves.
also,
About-
it's not safe to keep cash because of the inflation.
Especially recently, the inflation is
lose,
very
you
high.
actually lose money.
Exactly. Yeah, you lose purchasing power over time. Exactly.
So, are you shocked by the inflation in the Bay Area lately, but this year especially if you have a family to feed?
We have 2 toddlers, 2 boys. Even just eggs. I mean, I feel like we need a
Eggs went up.
we
Eggs
need a
went up.
budget just for eggs, right? The
Yeah.
amount of eggs we eat in the house times, I don't know, I think we're paying like $15 per carton for eggs. It's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because of the bird flu.
I think, many things, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Inflation, and there's a bunch of trade issues, the bird flu, and my goodness.
And if you go to Trader Joe's by 10 a.m., all the eggs are gone and people took it off the shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a shortage. They create the shortage to raise the price, and they play on different things to raise the prices, I guess. But now it's,
Everyone has their own game they're playing, right?
Yeah,
Every
no.
supermarket and grocery store and
yeah, now a dozen eggs, $14.99 if it's organic, free range. But you can get it cheaper in some places if it's not organic, free range. But a lot of people are opting for organic nowadays.
I feel like a lot of it is just, does it exist on the shelf or not? Right? Like if I go into the grocery store, I don't know if it's going to be there or not. I feel like
Oh, it depends which grocery store you go, but Trader Joe's, because they did not want to raise their price, they're all gone by 9 or 10.
right.
But like Whole Food, you can get $14 for 18 eggs. Target is $14.99 for 12 eggs. So it depends where they get their deals with the egg producers, with the farms.
Right.
So you gotta shop around, I guess.
Right.
If you eat a lot of eggs. I don't. I eat one a week. But like you, if you like eggs, then you should shop around.
It feels like an easy thing with toddlers too.
They eat eggs?
They love it. Honestly, any breakfast foods.
Oh.
I mean, sausages or eggs or pancakes or bread or bread with jam or bagels or.
Those are the.
I feel like this is the easiest thing to
feed
eat
them in the
and-
morning.
Yeah, and then I feel like going to daycare and the rest of the day is going to be so much easier if they get a good breakfast.
Oh, if they get a good protein-based breakfast.
Right, exactly.
Well, that's great that you You feed your kids the way you feed yourself, apparently. Is that the typical breakfast in Canada, to eat eggs?
It's a good question. I mean, at the end of the day, I lived in Canada for a long time, but I was actually born in Europe.
And what did you eat in
I'm
Europe?
Dutch.
Oh,
and
they
so,
eat toast with jam and butter, right?
it's very common. I mean, even I feel like one weird thing that Dutch people do is eat something called hagelslag.
Never heard of it.
Basically, bread with butter and little chocolate sprinkles.
Oh, okay.
And
So that's like...
as a kid, this is,
Yeah,
amazing to eat something like that.
Yeah, at my mother's house, it's toast with butter and jam.
Oh.
So, but we never ate eggs for breakfast. I mean, it's totally an American thing to do.
Yeah, I think in that sense, that's like pretty similar, I think, between Canada and the U.S., having eggs for breakfast.
Yeah, so let's touch a little bit. I know it's been an hour, but let's touch really lightly on the other ideas. Are your ideas mostly toward engineering or more toward technology, or is it just an idea that popped in your mind and you say, let's make it happen?
I can tell you about my previous company.
Okay, go ahead.
Spent a lot of time on that and, got very immersed in this world. Very different than finances.
Okay.
Also modeling and AI. It was a company called Iris Automation.
Iris, I-R-I-S.
Iris, like your eye. And so it was computer vision technology. And basically we build collision avoidance systems for commercial drones.
Okay.
And so, not military drones at all, not, hobby photography drones. This was pipeline inspection.
Okay.
This was agricultural surveys. This was
Very-
power line inspections
Very-
with PG&E.
Oh, very business oriented.
Business oriented. Yeah, this is, it's thinking about like large scale, like cargo delivery.
And they came to life?
It came to life. Basically the big problem with these drones is that, if we're going to have lots of these sort of bigger, these are sort of 10-foot wingspan drones,
Really?
right? Doing
Really?
hundreds of miles of, agricultural surveys or spraying operation. A lot of it is, traditionally dull, dirty, dangerous jobs.
Okay.
Someone who's flying in a Cessna very low over a pipeline doing millions of hours of surveys.
Somebody in the studio is managing the drone. No?
Yeah, you don't need the sort of Cessna flying along the pipeline anymore doing some agricultural survey. You can do that with a drone instead. It's very dangerous to do this like low flying work. You have a lot of oil spills. We were working with a big oil and gas company, and they have pipelines all over North America. And we were asking, how do they do detection of leaks in their pipeline today? Because we were thinking, okay,
So you
it's
go
way easier
closer?
to do it with drones, fly relatively low, 30 to 40 feet above the pipeline,
And you have done it.
and you can scan for leaks in the pipeline. And they said, we would like to do scanning like that, but it's very expensive to fly over the pipeline with a human in a little Cessna or Piper
so you
airplane.
said, let's do a drone?
So you can do it with drones to detect the leaks.
And they said, let's go for it.
They said the only alternative we have is community-based detection.
Oh,
So what is community-based detection?
somebody tells you there's a leak.
Yeah, there's a farmer with a leak in his land,
Yeah,
and at that point it's too late, right?
it's already spilled.
There's so much pressure in these pipelines, and the oil comes out very quickly.
So you came as a solution to that problem.
Right, exactly. And so, the idea of flying with commercial drones in the national airspace is, suddenly the Federal Aviation Administration and civil aviation administrations of, other countries, they're really worried about mid-air collisions.
Yeah.
And so basically we built collision avoidance systems for these drones to make sure that they could actually integrate into the national airspace in a reasonable way.
So you just took care of that part of it, collision avoidance.
Yeah, there's I mean, it's there's a whole world there, right? I mean, there
You
are
should do that for
companies
airplanes.
building transponders and companies building the drones themselves and lots of operators. You know, there's tens of thousands of drone pilots that are flying
Yeah,
these drones
like
and
Parrot
people
in France.
building ground stations. Parrot is one of them. Yeah, exactly.
Now, this you built. Can this be applied to airplane, like the crash that happened?
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
In Philadelphia.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago.
And DC.
Hmm.
You could have integrated that.
Yeah, the wild thing there. So there's a lot of issues, right, with that flight in particular. You know, it was a passenger airline and a military helicopter. And you know, in an air traffic control zone.
Yeah.
Right, which is even more wild, right? There's air traffic control. They should have seen it on the radar, but they had the transponder off.
Oh.
And so the biggest thing, actually, the biggest problem that we were solving with Iris Automation was
avoidance.
How do we do collision avoidance if people turn their transponder off?
Oh, so you can sell it to the air traffic controller now.
Absolutely. And so the biggest thing is, you know, can we use cameras? Or can we use sound?
Yeah.
Or can we use infrared cameras?
Should be sound
to
because if the
detect
pilot
other
is
aircraft?
asleep. Because
some sort of alerts.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like an obvious thing,
yeah,
right? If you can, you know, detect this in the world. And so we had simulated environments. You know, we would fly millions of hours of flights in a simulated world, and we had servers in our office that were just running all these hypothetical scenarios and generating videos of mid-air collisions.
Oh.
And then at a certain point, the FAA said, you know, we like your simulations, but you need to prove that it works in the real world.
Did you?
And so we needed to figure out how to prove it. But to prove that our system can avoid it, we actually need to do a lot of near mid-air collisions.
Right.
And so at a certain point, we actually, you know, we had a team in Nevada. And so in Reno, we had a 15-person team, and we bought an airplane.
Yeah.
And this team, you know, we had a guy from Alaska who was a bush pilot.
Yeah. And he tried
a little bit crazy.
He said, I want
very
to try
fun.
it.
And he said, I'm going to take the plane and I'm going to fly it. And that team would go into the desert, and they would put the drone in the air. And then he would fly at the drone. And then, you know, with 500 feet to go, turn away.
Oh.
You know, we obviously
he got
want
a
to do it in a
to
way.
turn. He got a signal to turn.
Yeah, we were very clear. We had transponders on board so that we could, you know exactly where it was. And there was a road, you know, specifically. And the guy who ran this team was a former naval captain. And so very checklists for everything. You know, we wanted to make sure it was extremely safe, the whole operation. We did this 20,000 times.
20,000 times?
Over the course of 4 years.
And
every single day, this team was out there for 8 hours a day in the desert.
Testing.
Different weather conditions, haze, fog, in the mountains, over forests, over the lake, close to Tahoe. I mean, we needed to collect a lot of data to prove to the FAA that the system was safe.
And also, when the Blue Angels come here, they fly like to a split second of each other.
Absolutely incredible, yeah.
And they don't collide.
Do
they have a collision avoidance too?
I think at that point, I think you need to do significant training, and this, you know, humans are in the cockpit are just constantly talking to each other, they know exactly what they're going to do. I mean, I think it's more like synchronized diving or gymnastics than it is,
and they are so
real
precise.
world operations.
They're so precise, like they
exactly
all together.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, my kids love that too, right?
Yeah.
For Fleet Week or even just watching Blue Angel videos. It's that's another level of skill at these speeds with jets.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the most common situation for Iris Automation and the kinds of real world encounters is very boring stuff.
Okay.
There will be a drone doing some agricultural survey, every single day, 12 hours a day in the field, or they're spraying the field. And then, once a year, there is a little Cessna from a neighbor farmer that comes by, and there's a potential for a midair collision with the drone and this little Cessna. And this guy is, maybe 55 years old, this farmer, he has his daughter next to him, and they're just going for a joy flight.
I see.
And like those are the situations that the FAA is really concerned about.
Oh.
Or it's a hot air balloon.
Oh.
Or it's a little paraglider, or it's an ultralight, from a kit that someone
And
built.
the system will catch it.
And the system specifically looking for that, and it will look, if you're looking at a picture or a video feed, it would start detecting something at 3 pixels across in the distance, miles away, and it would take the 3 pixels and say, hey, I think there's something there.
Oh.
And then as it gets bigger and bigger, at 9 pixels, it's able to say, this looks like a hot air balloon.
Wow.
Okay, based on how fast it's moving, where it is in my picture, based on how fast I'm moving, I think the hot air balloon is about, 35 feet tall. It's moving towards me in this direction.
So you avoid
It's not on a collision course. And so I'm going to monitor, I'm going to alert the operator that there's something in the airspace, but I'm going to keep flying my path.
And that thing was inside the drone.
Exactly. It was happening on board the drone itself. We would install cameras on the drone.
Okay.
Sometimes it was just forward looking.
Yeah.
We also had a system that had 5 different cameras all around the drone as it's flying. Because sometimes you have, a little Cessna that comes up from behind. Mm-hmm. And the Cessna is going to go much faster than the drone. And so even if you get hit from behind, it's really difficult for the pilot in a little aircraft to see some drone doing an operation like this. And so even then, the FAA is very worried about, what if we have overtaking aircraft? The drone needs to look behind it.
So you can negotiate with the FAA if they want to buy the system.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think the FAA is going to require this.
Oh, at the end.
Right? We had a lot of conversations. I spent a lot of time in DC giving big presentations and showing our simulations and, bringing our team to say, like, here's all these flights that we did and we flew all over the country. Because, at the end of the day, the FAA wants to make sure that the skies are safe. Mm-hmm. It's a really big deal if you have a midair collision.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is in the news, and,
I think
per year...
27 superstar ice skaters died. That's like those 1 in a million that become a superstar, right? So those are
right, exactly.
very unusual people who
If
die.
you have a midair collision, I think it's so newsworthy, and the impact speeds are so high, and the planes are built so light that it's going to be catastrophic almost every time.
Explode, yeah.
Right? And so in that sense, very different, I think, than cars on the ground. I think many more people die every year in car crashes than they do in midair collisions.
Right, I heard that.
But somehow we care a lot more about the midair collisions, I think, than we do about car crashes on the ground.
Maybe because it's a select group of people who go on aircraft.
Yeah. Oh, you think so? What, like a higher class group of people?
I mean, more people have a car than people who fly.
Which, from my perspective, I would think that it's even more important than to make sure that we have lower car crashes.
That too.
Somehow, as society, we accept, I think something like 40,000 car deaths every single year.
Oh. No, but a car like Waymo has collision avoidance in it.
Oh, yeah. Self-driving cars? In some ways, in this world, this is 2015 to 2021 when we sold the company, right? And spent a lot of time talking to people in the self-driving car industry, because some of the underlying AI systems and machine learning, computer vision, sensor fusion, integration, real-time embedded GPUs, a lot of it is very similar. And so, it felt like things were moving very quickly.
So
there was lots of money.
all these markets. You already touched on all of them. Oh my God, you're all over the place.
The most interesting thing, actually, is maybe even my wife. My wife runs a company called VeriSIM Life.
Okay.
And they have a 35-person team, and they have built a digital twin of the human body for drug development.
Mm.
And so they can predict if they have a compound, some drug, even before it goes into the first rat for testing, they can predict whether it's going to pass clinical trials.
Oh.
And so they can simulate, the toxicity of this drug in the human body, in monkeys and dogs and rats and mice. They can simulate efficacy. They can simulate blood flows and how fast it's going to get absorbed into your liver, how it excretes in the body, how it gets distributed through different organs, how it attacks, a very specific cancer or, tumor.
So that's her company?
That's her company, yeah. And she's been working on this for 7-8 years. And they work with the FDA and the Mayo Clinic and some of the biggest pharma companies in the world.
Wow.
If you're interested in interesting ideas, this is fascinating.
I can invite her maybe. Okay, well, unfortunately, we touched on a lot of things, not everything, but this is what a little segment to touch on your other company, Iris. But has been very, very entertaining and interesting to talk to you because it's not often that tech people go into details in such easy, understandable way. So thank you for being here. I enjoyed talking to you. It was very, very good, informative, and I appreciate you being here.
It was fun and relaxed.
Yes,
and,
it was.
Thank you for indulging me on all these different topics.
Yeah.
I love it. It's been a lot of fun, and I feel like I've just learned a tremendous amount. And it's almost like I'm in a new role every 6 months.
Yeah,
and,
you're gonna learn to do more
new.
and more podcasts. You can go on the $1 million podcast. Thank you.